27 years later, she realized that she had been caught for doing what she did. On the morning of September 6, 2024, a woman by the name of Carrie Mazuka is pulled over while getting her pre-work morning coffee. Carrie at the time was 52 years old, a mother, a wife, and she was going about her usual morning, stopping by Dunkin' Donuts in New York before starting her day at her real estate firm, not worried about a thing. You can imagine her surprise when police cars pull into the parking lot and surround her. An officer approaches her and tells her, "You need to come with us. Your car is going to stay here. My officers will make sure that it gets locked up and is secured, but in this moment right now, we need to take you. Can't tell you why right now, but everything will make sense once we get to the station where we can sit down and we will explain everything to you." So they put her in the car and they drive her to the station for questioning. And she seems truly unsuspecting. She even says, "Can I grab my phone? Should I call my work and let them know that I'm going to be late?" She was supposed to be at work that morning at 8:30 a.m. But I'll tell you right now, Carrie Mazuka would not have a job for much longer. So once they get into an interrogation room, they sit Carrie down and they tell her the reason why she's there in the first place. The investigator starts talking about a cold case that they've been trying to solve for years and years and years. The crime took place back in September of 1997. September 7th was a regular Sunday morning and city workers were making their rounds through Washington Park in Albany, New York. And that entire day started off as normal, but things took a devastating turn when city workers found the body of a newborn baby wrapped in charred blue cloth near the Moses statue. The little body was tucked into a flower bed and it looked like someone had definitely left him there on purpose, but obviously they had no idea who the baby belonged to. There was nothing to help them figure it out other than DNA testing, but even so, this was years ago. Technology just was not as advanced as it is today. But because the baby was found near the Moses statue, authorities refer to this baby as baby Moses. He was recovered and his little body was taken in for an autopsy. Medical examiners were able to determine that baby Moses was born alive and healthy, weighing 9 pounds and 3 ounces. There were absolutely no signs of injury or natural health conditions that could have left him to be in the state that he was found in, meaning that whoever left him there made a choice. Someone looked at this living, breathing baby boy and decided that he would not make it out of that park. But because there were so many unknowns and really nothing to go off, there were no solid leads, no names connected to the case, seemingly no persons who were searching for a baby, and really no further evidence at all. So the case went cold, and for the next 27 years, it would remain cold. The case of baby Moses haunted the city. It was a gruesome, heartbreaking discovery that left an entire generation of Albany police officers and detectives scarred. Luckily, within those officers and investigators were those who never stopped searching for the truth. One commander later recalled that there were detectives who retired who still thought about that case every single day. Fast forward to 2020, the world shuts down, but inside of the Albany Police Department, detectives are hard at work. The department partners with the Cold Case Analysis Center at the College of St. Rose decide that it's time to take a fresh look at this case. DNA technology had significantly advanced since 1997, and forensic specialists take a look at the case and they managed to extract a usable DNA profile from preserved evidence. That profile sits there for 2 years. Then in 2022, investigators take it a step further. A private forensic laboratory called Othram is brought in to develop a comprehensive DNA profile for the unknown baby. Once that is complete, then it's handed off to the FBI's forensic genetic genealogy team, who run it through a forensic database search. And this is kind of where science now starts to kind of feel like a time machine, because using genealogy, police officers are then able to partner with third-party companies such as Ancestry.com or IDMean, websites like those that use DNA samples from different people around the world. They are able to then connect the dots and kind of definitely build a family tree, right? Because if someone does not commit a crime, if they've never been arrested and their fingerprints have never been taken, their DNA profile really has no reason to be in the database that authorities use. But if someone is willingly choosing to submit their DNA to learn about their ancestors or whatever, then using those, a family tree can then come together. And this has helped authorities massively in connecting the specific dots that they need to connect in order to then solve cold cases. So they do this for baby Moses, and the search leads investigators to identifying a relative. And after further investigative work, police determined that a woman in the Mazuka family is that baby's biological mother. That baby was left like that, abandoned with no chance at life at all those years ago in 1997. And someone in the Mazuka family was the biological mother. The science was there. There's no denying it. I don't think they knew for sure yet, but that is why they wanted to get DNA swabs, not only from Carrie, but also from her sister, to confirm who the mother was. So now it is September 6, 2024. Carrie Mazuka is sitting there in that interrogation room listening to that investigator explain this to her, that a baby was Nobody knew who was responsible, but the science is telling us that he is connected to your family. So do you know why that would be? And Carrie, oh my goodness, you would think this was like the shock of the century for her. She audibly gasps when they tell her about the connection, and then she starts going through her family tree, naming her ex-husband, her 2 adult children, and her other female family relatives. She confirms more than once that she only has 2 kids. They ask her how many times she's been pregnant. She says 2. They ask her if there were any other pregnancies, perhaps secret pregnancies, either by her or other family members, asking if there was ever a pregnancy in the family that ended up with no baby for whatever reason. And she says, no, I only have 2 kids and they're grown up now, and no pregnancy has ever ended in a mysterious way. Nothing weird at all. They show Carrie pictures of the location in which the baby was found in Washington Park, and they also show her pictures of the baby and what he was found like, charred all around him. Someone had set a fire in an attempt to get rid of it, and Carrie goes, oh my, I have goosebumps. I'm sorry, that's so gross. I'm gonna throw up. She's gasping so loudly, covering her mouth, saying, oh my god, I can't believe it. And the officer goes, yeah, it's horrible. Meanwhile, at a different location, a group of officers have also located Carrie's sister, and they're explaining the same thing to her, informing her that baby Moses has been connected to their family tree. Both Carrie and her sister agree to cooperate with authorities, and they give DNA samples for them to test. Meanwhile, Carrie is still talking about how crazy it is that someone would leave a baby like that, knowing that there are safe haven places where a person can leave a baby, no questions asked, and without any consequences. Then she goes into asking specific questions about the DNA and how likely it is for them to be able to narrow down exactly who the biological mother is. She is super curious, but she is cooperating. The officer is in the middle of saying how bad things would look for someone if they lied, when all of a sudden Carrie burst out, I did it. And the officer nods and goes, you did it. Carrie Mazuka had lived a very quiet life in New York. She worked at a prominent real estate firm for over 24 years. To anyone on the outside, she looked like a completely ordinary woman, but nobody knew about the secret that she had been hiding for years. Carrie was 25 years old when she secretly gave birth to a baby in her apartment in a bathtub. She claims that she did not know that she was pregnant and said that the father was an ex-boyfriend that she had no contact with. Shortly after delivering him, she put her hand over his face, feeling his little breaths until there were none. She then put him inside of a plastic Walmart bag, taking away any chance that he had at life. At first, she tried to say that she didn't do it on purpose, but again, we know from the autopsy that that baby was born alive. He had air in his lungs and he was alive for minutes, taking breaths before Carrie did what she did. She describes taking him out of her apartment and into her car like someone would take out groceries or take out the trash. She then wrapped him in a towel, lit the towel on fire to destroy her fingerprints, and dumped the body in a flower bed at Washington Park. She went home, she lived her life, and she never once said a thing about it. Carrie Mazuka was arrested and charged with second-degree murder, concealment of a human corpse, and tampering with physical evidence. In February of 2025, she pled guilty. And 2 months later, she stood before a judge for sentencing. At sentencing, she read a statement that reads, quote, I'm sorry, I did a horrible, unimaginable thing, and I live with remorse and regret. I am a great mom. I've lived a law-abiding life, and I do deserve a lengthy sentence. I just hope you use some discretion and go to the lower end, end quote. The prosecution was not moved by her statement, and the deputy chief argued that while Carrie admitted to what she did, she still took little to no responsibility. A probation officer's written statement noted that Albany police detectives were more affected by the baby Moses case than Carrie was herself. And before sentencing, the prosecution left the jury with a reminder of how short the life was that he lived, stating that his short-lived life was, quote, filled with nothing but suffering and pain, and that suffering and pain came at the hands of the defendant, end quote. The judge then stated, quote, I will call him Baby Moses and not Baby Spielman because the detectives and officers who found him and gave him that name showed more love and consideration for your child than you ever did, end quote. Carrie Mazuka was sentenced to 25 years in state prison, finally facing justice after almost 3 decades of living in a lie. It's cases like these that keep me up at night because a family would have loved that baby. If Carrie didn't want it, someone would have wanted that baby, and he would have been the biggest miracle to a family, and he would probably live a life full of love. He didn't have a chance. That is all for me today. Let me know your thoughts on this case, and thank you guys so much for spending time with me and for listening to Baby Moses' story. I hope you guys are having the best day. If not, go do something to make it the best day, make somebody happy, and I will see you in my next video. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you.